Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thanks for spending some of your time with us tonight. What's going on, guys?
Let's talk some sports, baby.
This is
A Drink of Wisdom.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thanks for spending some of your time with us tonight. How we feeling, fellas? Still doing good?
Drink's about to hit us with the sauce, maybe.
I don't know what just happened right there, but let's talk some sports, baby.
I hope y'all don't expect that out of me at any point. But
Nope.
You can expect this. In episode 57, we continue to look at the NFL free agency landscape as the Eagles and Chargers strengthen their secondaries. Cam Newton's future remains uncertain, and we examine the remaining free agents that have the most value. But first, we begin with some big-name running backs finding new teams. Los Angeles Rams saved $10.5 million by releasing star running back Todd Gurley on Thursday. Gurley signed a 4-year, $57 million extension 2 years ago with the Rams, but injuries have derailed his former All-Pro production. The Atlanta Falcons were quick to pick him up and hope to get back to those ways. Melvin Gordon also found a new home, inking a 2-year, $16 million deal with Denver. Gordon has dealt with some injuries in his own contract holdouts, but has been very productive when he's healthy. So, Drink, which team is going to wind up being happier with their signings?
Well, I think it's two ways you can look at this. I think financially, you got to go with the Falcons. They only signed Gurley to a 1-year deal. So even if he go out here and drop a complete dud, you only got him for 1 year. You get him off the books. You move on, and that's a blimp on his career. If you're talking about productivity, I'm going to have to go with Melvin Gordon because Melvin Gordon he's getting added to a backfield that already had one Pro Bowl running back with Phillip Lindsay. So now he's getting added to a 1-2 punch. He just left out of a situation where he was with a 1-2 punch. So he's more familiar with what he's going to do with Denver than what Gurley is going to do with the Falcons. So you got to understand this. He's leaving the Rams where, when we just talked about this, when the Rams was at their best, it wasn't going through Jared Goff. Let's be serious here. It was going through Todd Gurley. Now he's going to go to the Falcons where that is Matt Ryan's team. I mean, I can't remember the last time, we really talked about, hey, that guy in the backfield since Matt Ryan been there. It's always been about Matt Ryan, what he does, how he does. Not to say running backs don't matter, but Devontae Freeman did do enough to get that big contract he got. Then once he got hurt, he was downhill. He was like the stock market. So, we still trying to figure out what happened to him, right? We like, hey, you remember Devontae Freeman when he was good and now he's like not good, and it just happened so fast. We don't know the coronavirus. So now here comes Todd Gurley. He coming into the situation. Now, with that said, I know people say, well, Todd Gurley's so talented, he will be the best running back Matt Ryan has ever played with. If you add, if you're talking about the previous guys, but people tend to forget why Todd Gurley got cut 2 years after signing a 4-year deal. He has problems, folks. You got to look at that knee. You got to look at that ankle. And I think Sean McVay got tired of getting shotgun blasted on why he wasn't using him enough. I think Sean McVay got to the point where he was like, listen, I can't keep hiding this injury. People think I'm playing stupid now. I went from being boy genius to a complete idiot in a matter of a year. The people don't know what's going on with me. And I'm not feeling this no more. So he went up to the GM, Les Snead, said, listen, something got to happen, man. You want to get them on out of here or what? What are we doing here? What are we doing? And they got rid of him. Now, granted, injuries played a role, but we know that tax, that gross overpayment of players also played a role. They need to share money, and they need to share money fast. So that also played a role. But listen, I'm putting my eggs in the Melvin Gordon basket more than the Todd Gurley basket. I think Melvin Gordon is going to be an outstanding piece for the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to get a lot of use out of them. And I would say this, with Melvin Gordon back there, now you can use Phillip Lindsay in different manners. You don't just got to run him straight up and down. Now you can pass the ball to him more out of the backfield, because from what I've seen from the young fella, he's a pretty hell of a good pass catcher too. So now you can use him more in that manner, because you got a former number one back of a pretty good Chargers team when he was doing his thing. You got a former number one back there with Melvin Gordon. So I'm gonna go with Melvin Gordon will be the better investment.
Yeah, I'm with Drink on this one. I like the Melvin Gordon signing for the Denver Broncos over the Todd Gurley signing for the Falcons. And you can look at it financially. It appears to be it's a short term, probably low risk investment for the Falcons, because it's only a 1 year, $6 million deal, even though he's still going to be collecting a little bit of money from the Rams, even though they cut him. And don't give me this nonsense about them saving money by cutting him. They still holding the L on this one with the
dead cap. They definitely getting the dead cap money, but they do save $10 million off the bat, without a doubt.
But when you look at this from the Bronco perspective, the Broncos in the past 2 seasons have had a 1-2 punch with the young guns, the big man Royce Freeman, I should say, and then a little man Philip Lindsay, who is quite effective running through the tackles, I might say. But with this signing, you maintain that 1-2 punch, but you get a huge upgrade for your inside big back, with Melvin Gordon being significantly better than Royce Freeman. And I like this move for another reason, because Philip Lindsay only about 5 foot 890 pounds. So with his size in mind, you don't just want to run out there and give Philip Lindsay the ball 25 times a game. You want to kind of keep his carries in check, so you don't run him into the ground and get him beat up too often out there. So when you bring in a guy like Melvin Gordon, you're able to still have a great 1-2 punch. They both can catch passes out of the backfield. Melvin Gordon, over the past 4 seasons, even with some of the injuries he's had and that ill-conceived holdout, he's got 38 rushing touchdowns over the past 4 seasons. That's 4th most in the NFL. And in his 47 total touchdowns, when you consider the receiving work he does, are 3rd most in the NFL over the last 4 seasons. So you got to like what he does with his versatility. I think you would like to see a bit more consistency from Melvin Gordon. He's only averaged more than 4 yards a carry one time in his career. I would say this in regards to his performance last season. I think that holdout really hurt him. I think the Los Angeles Chargers, I think some people around the league, they really think Austin Eckler is a better running back than Melvin Gordon. And I just find it to be a laughable statement. I understand what he can do for you out of the backfield as far as catching passes, but when we talk about things from a pure running back perspective, as taking a carry and picking up chunks of yardage, I'm going with Melvin Gordon every day of the week. I'm sorry. So I love this for the Denver Broncos. You got a great 1-2 punch to kind of, take some pressure off your young quarterback, Drew Lock. I think it's pretty clear Denver, they're going to run the football, play defense with Vic Fangio and them boys on that side of the ball. From the Atlanta perspective, I just talked about how Denver has a great 1-2 punch. I'm looking at Atlanta right now, and this was a signing they had to make out of great necessity, because you think about what they've lost the past 2 seasons with letting go Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman leaving in free agency last offseason. They're pretty thin out there. They're pretty thin at running back. You look at some of these names on the Atlanta Falcon roster. You'd be hard pressed to find Google results for some of these guys. I'm talking about Ito Smith and Quadri Ellison or Collison. I don't know who these guys are. So and to that point, you sign Todd Gurley, but when you consider his injury history and what he and his usage last season, I'd be nervous about the Falcons, even though it's only a 1-year deal, because ever since the 2018 playoff run, when inexplicably C.J. Anderson was getting the ball consistently for the Los Angeles Rams, we've been confused for over about a year and a half now, just confused about what's going on with Todd Gurley and why Sean McVay neglected to give this man the football. And you bring up a great point. Maybe Sean McVay's tired of getting the smoke from guys like us. Just what are we doing? You made the Super Bowl giving the ball to Todd Gurley, and now just all of a sudden we just forgot he's on the roster. We forgot he's a thing. So with that in mind, I don't believe Todd Gurley. I think he's got a serious chronic issue going on with his knee. I don't know if we'll ever see that all-pro version of Todd Gurley, because back when he won Offensive Player of the Year in 2017 and was a first-team All-Pro 2 seasons in a row, I think those days are over for Todd Gurley. And with those things in mind, I'm taking Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, guys, I think y'all are absolutely spot on. Melvin Gordon projects to be a much better signing than Todd Gurley is going to be. For all the reasons just listed as far as Melvin Gordon's concerned. I don't need to go back over him. The only thing you could say about it, what some people are knocking, it's like, is it the most critically necessity thing that Denver had? Maybe not. But hey, you go out there, you got a chance to put a guy like that on your team, you do it, right? In Atlanta, Todd Gurley, there's two things I look at. Number one is, of course, the injury history. Again, this is not something that was just one season. Sometimes we see a guy, they get hurt for one season, they come back, and they take a little time to knock the rust off. But this is chronic. This is something it hasn't just been a half a season or a couple games, and he had a whole offseason, now we're golden. That should have been last year. And last year, the production wasn't horrible. 1,000 yards from scrimmage, 12 touchdowns. We look at that yards per carry, 3.8. It's just, there's something not right, especially you're talking about a guy that did what he did. Man, there's just something wrong. And when those injuries tend to linger, you start to wonder, is it in the guy's head? Is it some kind of damage that just can't be repaired? And it's just going to be a problem his whole career. So it's very hard to accept that, oh, yeah, he'll just bounce back and he'll be the Rams Todd Gurley we all remember and was on all the commercials. And the other reason I don't really like this for Atlanta is how much better is Atlanta really going to be? Looking at their post-free agency, you consider who's out and who's in. You lost Austin Hooper, Desmond Trufant, Vic Beasley, Devondre Campbell, and two rotational guys on that offensive line. And when you're 30th in rushing, we all know that just can't be the running back. There's other things involved, right? There's some schematically your play calling, but a lot of it can just be your offensive line that just hasn't really panned out. We all know that an all-world running back can just look like real mediocre real fast. Last year in 2019's draft, you picked up Chris Lindstrom from Boston College, who had a 43 rating from Pro Football Focus before he went on IR. And your other first-round pick.
That's pretty bad.
It is, yeah. And then he went on IR, so there could have been an injury there. But then also you picked Caleb McGarry in the first round. You had two first-round picks. You picked two offensive linemen. McGarry was 34 out of 38 starting right tackles last season, and now you've lost depth on top of that. So you're relying on these second-year guys with limited experience and injury histories to come back and be better without any other big moves in free agency to combat it. And then, let's throw in on top of that, by the way, you're on this win now mandate with Dan Quinn and company. This last year we're writing you off on the taxes, but you're not doing that again. And I assume, unlike some teams, they actually mean that when the front office says that. So if that's the case, you got a win now team who lost a bunch of talent, who doesn't have a great offensive line, and now Todd Gurley's got to come in there and be this dude. I don't know. That's a whole lot of pressure. So, yeah, I got to agree with y'all. I think Melvin Gordon's definitely going to have the better run here of these two players.
And one thing I forgot to hit on when I was talking was the level of competition. You got to understand Atlanta's going to be in the better of the two divisions at this point. I think you're going to need Melvin Gordon a lot. You're going to need Todd Gurley a lot more in that NFC South than you would need Melvin Gordon in the AFC West. Not saying the AFC West is garbage. I'm not saying they're bums, but we just seen what the Bucks did. We know what the Saints is going to do. And, Carolina might make a little noise down there, too, because they got a guy, you might have heard of him, Christian McCaffrey. So that division is going to be a lot tougher than what Melvin Gordon might deal with. And like we said, he has a co-partner in that backfield where you won't have to rely on him to do as much as you probably going to need out of Todd Gurley.
No, I agree with that 100%. When you look at what the Bucks have done, and we know that how potent the Saints are going to be year in and year out, at this point, you would probably just go into preseason, say the Falcons are the third best team, which that's probably not going to get you in the playoffs, considering you only get 2 wild card spots. And we know the NFC West is going to be tough, and you still got the Vikings and Packers to contend with in the NFC North. Whereas out in Denver, we know what the Chiefs are going to do. They just owning the AFC West right now. But the Chargers and Raiders, I'm not sold on either one of those teams. Y'all not sold on either one of those teams. So Denver should have a reasonable chance to really compete for a wild card spot this year. And by the way, to just circle back to the original question, if you'd asked us this question 2 years ago, it would have been absolutely laughable and blasphemous to choose Melvin Gordon over Todd Gurley. But that's where we're at.
True.
Things change in a hurry.